כל השנה הלכות בכל יום, ותח לו שיעור במערבב, בעזרת השם, we're starting today on the 20th of Sivan, and we are holding with two mitzvot, בעזרת השם, we're discussing today two mitzvot, the Oraita 441. It says, an animal that was mukdash, that was sanctified, to become kodesh, and it became mummed, it became blemished, there is a mitzvah to redeem it. We'll see what that means exactly. Mitzvah number 442, we'll be discussing, there is the Isur, the Oraita, of eating Maasrot Sheni, Maaser Sheni, that of your produce that was grown, you're not allowed to eat it outside of Yerushalayim. So that we'll be discussing. Bezat Hashem mitzvah today. The mitzvah today are sponsored. Bezat Hashem. Therefore, Hashem al kol chorei amo Yisrael b'chalam lechaya bat Leah, Leor ben Ahuva, Levi bat Rachel, Yosef ben Miriam, Moshe ben Miriam Lydia, וגם לנשמת הנפטר Amil לחזיאל ben Yaakov. Golda, very Golda. Okay, somebody asked me just now. This is a person, Bezat Hashem. He should have a peaceful burial. It's not buried yet, but Bezat Hashem, he should be all peaceful. As the Gemara says, 5 things that a person constantly should pray in his life, and one of them is to have a burial, satisfied burial to the last drop of the last piece of dirt placed on his grave. It should all be peaceful. We could also add to that if he is not smart enough and he left Chas v'Shalom, he left inheritance to his children, that it should be also peaceful, that his children should not fight for it. That's part of the praying for a peaceful death. Bezat Hashem, we're going to start with the mitzvah today. Mitzvah number 441. All right, let's go. Mitzvat pidyon kedoshim shenafal b'hem mum, v'achar kach mutarim lebe'achila. There is a certain way a person sanctified an animal for a mizbeach, for Beit HaMikdash, and now it has became blemished. What do? There is a ways to redeem it, and what kind of animal we discuss right now. We'll see certain animals yes, certain animals not. Then you will redeem it, and then it will be allowed for everybody to eat from it. As we know that once the animal is mukdash, once the animal is sanctified, there is either nobody eats from it, or kohanim are allowed to eat it, and sometimes the baalim are allowed to eat. So it all depends on process. Let's say a korban todah. You said this animal is todah, which is now I'm going to take to the lenient one, the most easiest one, because that allows the baalim to eat it. The people who donated that animal to the Beit HaMikdash is allowed to eat off of it. Now there are certain things that go to kohanim, the chest and certain parts of the right, and it's burned on the mizbeach, v'kadosh baruch hu. But there is a process. There's a process of blood being thrown on the mizbeach. Meaning it has to be shechted in the azara. They take the blood, they sprinkle the blood on the mizbeach, and then they take off certain parts that has to be burned, either the fats, v'kadosh baruch hu, the chest goes to the kohanim, the rest goes to the baalim, has to be eaten by the baalim, the people who are thanking Hashem. Now, but you see, this animal, once you designate this animal, a whole process has to be done for it to become kadosh, to become chol, that you're allowed to eat it now. Yes, it's in the status of kadosh because of it was sanctified, but now it went down to the level of the kedusha went down, and now you're allowed to eat from it. You're a regular person. Anybody could eat from it, right? Except for goy. A goy that brings a korban, there is no eating from it. The goy brings a korban, must be burned completely. Because the goyim don't understand this concept of allowing the regular people to eat from a korban which was participated by Hashem. They don't believe in that. So in order to bypass all that, we say, you know what, by the goy, any korban goy gives, even if he says I'm giving todah, there is no such a thing. Whatever he gave gets burnt, everything, right away. Now, this allowance has to be performed, like it said. However, what happens is now, this animal, you said todah, right? You said, anyway you're going to eat from this animal. Right, because as we said, it's a gift offering to Hashem, or thank you offering to Hashem, or it's shlamim, or you're in peace with Hashem, you're happy, you're saturated, you're satisfied with Hashem does for you, so you want to bring the shlamim. Very nice. Okay, all those things are nice, and even though you're going to partake by it, but what happens to an animal if he has a blemish? Once it has a blemish, you can't bring it to the Beit HaMikdash. Nothing will be done with it anymore. There is no sprinkling blood on the mizbech. You're not allowed to. It says tamim. An animal has to be shalem, has to be full. If it has any little nuance of damage or some kind of a boo-boo, blemish, finished. The animal is done. So what do you do with it? So let's see. So mitzvah 441 comes in. There's a mitzvah d'oraita, how you could allow this animal to be eaten. We're not talking about, let's say, olah. Right? Olah, mistama, even it has a olah means a burnt offering. The burnt offering, mistama, once you designate to be a burnt offering, and if it has a mum, I don't know what will allow you to eat it. Maybe it will. We'll see. Let's discover together. שתבינו לבדות קודשים שנפל בהם מום ולוקחין בדמיהן בהמה אחר לקורבן. So let's say, maybe that is already hinting something. If you sanctify an animal and it has a blemish, what do you do with that? What you do with that is you redeem it and you sell it. What is that? You redeem it, you sell. Listen, how much costs an animal? You say, listen, it's cost $1,000. Good. So you take $1,000 and you say that the holiness of this animal will be transferred to this $1,000. So now we already learned in Shulchan Aruch. Remember the Yonatan Ovadia? We learned in Shulchan Aruch, Mishnah Berurah over there tells us same concept. The Knesset. If you want to sell the building or you want to sell something, the Sefer Torah or something, right? So if it depends whose money belongs to, which this money. If it's community money, so this money becomes holy. So you take the value of the item that you're selling, and now this money is kadosh, and this money depends on the kedusha of the item that you sold. The item. So now you can only use something that is similar in the holiness or higher. We cannot go lower. For instance, if you had mitpachat, right? You had handkerchiefs of the handkerchiefs in the shul, and you had 100 of them. Sefer Torah, Baruch Hashem, very wealthy shul. There's 30 Sefer Torah. Each Sefer Torah has 4 handkerchiefs. Okay. So now what happened was, unfortunately, there were 100 girls came in, 100 girls, orphan girls came in, and they have to marry them off, and the community has no money. The halacha is they have to sell every Sefer Torah, leave one for the community. They must sell all the Sefer Torah to marry off those girls. Okay? So they sold all the Sefer Torah, they marry off all the girls. Now they have left over the handkerchiefs. Right? So now they want to sell the handkerchiefs. You don't need 120 handkerchiefs. So they're going to sell the handkerchiefs now. These handkerchiefs, you cannot buy a bima with it. You want to say you want to buy a teva. As we said, only teva could be sold to buy handkerchiefs. From bima, you're allowed to sell, to take that money, and you could build another teva. But you cannot buy chairs in the shul from that money, even though it's for the shul. Still, since the bima has a service, certain holy aspect to it, the chairs don't have that same aspect of holiness. Therefore, you cannot buy the chairs. Okay, so it always goes up in level of the shop. Same thing here. You took $1,000 with this animal, and you must go buy yourself another animal with this $1,000. ואחד הפדיון הם יוצאים לחולין וזובחים ואוכלים אותן הבעלים כחולין גמורים. אז זה נאמר, so now that animal which was left over, the $1,000 you transferred the holiness from this animal to that $1,000. Now you're going to go buy exactly the same animal for $1,000 without a mum, okay, without any blemish, and that animal will be brought in the mizbeach. What happens to this one? The one that you redeemed, you are allowed to now eat it, as it says over there in chapter 12 in Dvarim, pasuk 15. Rak bechol avat nafshecha tizbach ve'acharta basar ve'gomar. It says over there only that you should bring the avat nafshecha to saturate your soul. That you're allowed to bring over there as a mizbeach, and then the acharta basar, and you're allowed to then eat from that animal which we redeemed. So hatameh ve'atahor yochlenu katzvi v'chayav. Even that animal that was redeemed, anybody could eat now. It has basically, even the person who is tameh, who is impure, meaning he touches that body, for the next 7 days, he's tameh. Right, so what, he should starve? No. He's allowed to eat. From what does he eat? He eats from chulin. He's not allowed to eat from kodesh. He's not allowed to eat from holy parts of anything that's truma or anything. It's like kohen. 7 days he's tameh, buried off his wife. Right, so for 7 days he has to become tameh. So he's gonna eat. He's allowed to eat anything that's not have the name kedusha on it. So you might think this animal had the name kedusha on it, holiness. So maybe it still has retained some kedusha. Maybe it should be prohibited for this person to eat the tameh. No, the Torah tells you specifically he's allowed to eat it, even the tameh. Okay. אחר שהזכירה הפרשה הקורבנות התמימים וחייבה שלא להקריבם כי אם במקום אשר יבחר השם, אמר אחרי כן על הקורבנות בעצמם שאם נפל בהם מום שנבדם. So now the rabbi says, after we elaborated the previous mitzvot we're discussing, what the sacrifices, right? You're not allowed to bring sacrifices outside the Beit HaMikdash. You must bring the sacrifices in the Beit HaMikdash. So now the Torah tells us now, we told you where you do sacrifices, and now let's more elaborate what is kosher sacrifice or not. So now it's telling you an instance where an animal gets blemished. So in this instance, what happens is, if you had an animal was designated for korban and it got blemished, and you did the redemption part, like we discussed just now, now you're allowed to do whatever you desire with this animal. Okay? She'en gufa kadosh leolam. Once you redeemed it, it has no aspect, no nuance of holiness anymore. Otherwise, you might think it still has. V'chen ba alenu hapirush hamekubal, as we already explained in Sifra, she'eno medaber ze pasuk ela bepsulei hamukdashin she'ivdu. And obviously, this whole pasuk is talking about specifically all the holy. I don't know if we could say all. It says mikudashim, anything that was sanctified. Can you say that korban olah? He designated korban olah, a burnt offering. Maybe, because I don't hear here that it's not allowed. Maybe it is still allowed. What's the difference? Think for a second. You designated korban olah. You said this is going to be burnt offering. Now it has a mum. All of a sudden it has a mum. So sell it and what? And buy a new korban olah. Bring a new unblemished animal for burnt offering. So lechoira sounds like even that's the most severe korban. The most severe, the most like nobody enjoys it. The kohanim don't eat it. Nothing. The steak goes and be burned. That's called korban olah, a very high level. Yeah, I would think not, but he says no. Even that, once you took out the value, redeemed it, it sounds like a korban olah also will be. Okay, I don't see anything that tells me no so far. בשושן מצווה, שהיה מחסדי האל עלינו להרשות אותנו ליהנות מהבהמות הקורבן, אחר שנפל בהם מום, אף על פי שכבר נפרשו להיות קודש וכוח שמיים חל עליהם. So he says the purpose of this mitzvah is that Hashem wants to have mercy on us. And therefore, if an animal had become blemished for whatever reason, Hashem wanted to give us an opportunity to redeem it, right? Even though it had full holiness on it, because it was all designated for Hashem. And so Hashem loves us, and He says, why should this animal go to waste? Go ahead and redeem it. Tzaddik hu Hashem v'tzedakah yaseh im beriotav v'shevet malchuto v'romimoto yikal me'alehem. And therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu had, through His righteousness and through His great love for us, He allowed us to have such a concept where even though the animal 3 seconds ago, or 10 seconds ago, whatever, 10 minutes ago, it was, if somebody just puts his hand on it for leaning, he would get malkut. If somebody is ne'eneh from Kodashim, he gets a warning, and he doesn't stop. He wants to use the korban, the animal which was designated for korban, for his pleasure. He will get lashed. And now that it has a blemish, we give him permission now to even eat it after you redeem it. So you see, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is that's Hashem. The mercy of Hashem is, even though it would have full holiness on this item, now that it has a blemish and you have a redemption for it, now it has no more holiness. Okay? Oh, now more than that, Kadosh Baruch Hu knows our teva, and our teva is that we love to come close to Hashem. That people will say, no, I don't want to touch this anymore. I'm afraid. Once it had the name Kadosh on it, even though it was redeemed, I want to be mahmir on myself. We're going to call that machmarash shel shtut. We're going to say, you're not allowed to be mahmir. Therefore, in order for that not to happen, Hashem went ahead and commanded us, go eat from that animal once it's redeemed. Ya'aneh, there's no playing games. Hashem said, that's it. Okay? What happens over there, the rules are, if somebody had an animal that died, before it was redeemed, in that instance, let's say an animal died, which was kadosh, and you didn't sacrifice it, or you didn't redeem it yet, you must bury it. You have no pleasure from it at all. You cannot give it to dogs, nothing. Right? Even though it died, it doesn't have any more holiness on it. Still, since before you made the pidyon, that this animal still retains its aspect, the purpose. The purpose was for the mizbeach, and now you should not chas v'shalom go and do other things stuff with it. Bury it. שאי אפשר לבדותה אחר מיתה, שהכתוב בצלחה, העמדה והערכה. The Torah tells us that the only way you could redeem an animal when it's standing on its feet 100%, healthy. כל פסולי המקדשים, כשיבדו מותר לשחוט אותם בשוק הטבחים ולמכור. So now he tells us כל פסולי המקדשים. So mashma, it's not what I said. I said maybe the korban, a burnt offering, would be not allowed. No, anything. The halacha is any animal that was bekadosh, whatever its designation was, it's no longer retains that designation once you put the value of the animal into the money, and that money is kadosh. Go buy a new animal with that money, and this animal now is allowed. Again, obviously, this mitzvah is only time in Beit when we are in Eretz HaKodesh. We don't have that today, but it would be noeg b'zman mitzvah zo b'zacharim and nekevod, and only in the time of the Beit HaMikdash. Okay, let's go. Mitzvah number 42. Shelo le'echol ma'aser sheni shel dagan chutz leYerushalayim. What is ma'aser sheni? Ma'aser sheni, specifically, it says we're talking about dagan. What is dagan? Shelo le'echol ma'aser sheni shel dagan chutz leYerushalayim. Dagan is grain. 5 grains, right? 5 grains of wheat. There are 5 types of them, right? You remember? What do we have? Wheat, we have barley, spelt, and we have oats. There's another one. Okay. I always forget also. Flax? I don't know. Flax seed? No, right? No, not flax. Oats, shibolet shual, we said, barley, shual, right? I don't know. Okay. Rye, yeah, right. Okay. So we have 5. Good. So all those 5, if you grow them, meaning you're an individual, not that you buy it, you grow this produce, you gather this field, and now you separate it truma, and now you're separating maaser sheni. It must be eaten, and you must take it to Yerushalayim and eat it there. As it says in the Torah, the Devarim Yud Bet, chapter 12, pasuk 17, Lo tuchal le'echol b'sharecha maaser degancha. You are prohibited to eat in your gates the tenth of the grains. Right away, the following pasuk teaches us that it's talking about maaser shenimar. It says that you must eat it before Hashem, which is what? You and your children, your servants and your maidservants. The rest of the masrot is for everybody else, but this maaser sheni, specifically maaser sheni, and now he's going to tell us what is maaser sheni. Very important. So this maaser sheni, what is that? We already taught you the mitzvah number 473. We didn't get there yet. Soon we're going to get there. Why it's specifically eaten in Yerushalayim? He doesn't say it here, but I'll tell you. Very simple. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants the Yerushalayim to be buzzing. He wants it to be always busy. Buzzing. So now, the rule is, the Gemara tells us, anyone who lived within a mile radius of Yerushalayim, he cannot redeem his Maserot Sheni. He cannot sell it. He must bring it to Yerushalayim and eat it there. Why? He wants to be packed. The place to be always busy, bustling, constantly busy. He wants people to come. So Maser Sheni. So those people, and that was one of the reasons of this mitzvah. Many other mitzvot, many reasons. Somebody asked me yesterday, what's the purpose of the Torah? Simple. There is no purpose. That's the answer. You know why there's no purpose? We don't have to know the purpose. I said, when you go on a guide, when you hire a tour guide, right? So let's go. You're going hiking on the rough trails. You know those people. Some people go on the terrain. No, they go on the cliffs. They go hiking the cliffs. Crazy people. Some crazy people do that, right? So now the guide tells you exactly which rocks to step on, which rocks not to step on, what looks like a rock, it's really not a rock, it's a quicksand. Right? So he tells you. When he tells you don't step on this color rocks, you ask him questions? Nobody asks questions. Finished. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Torah is a word in Hebrew, guide. The word Torah in Hebrew means guide. Hashem put us in this world. He gave us a guide. The guide is, don't step on the blue rock. Don't step on the red rock. Don't step on the mushy grass. You must step over here. You must go there. You must do this. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not here to control us. He's here to help you to enjoy your life. People don't understand that. People think Torah is prohibitions all day because they didn't have a teacher. They don't know what the Torah is. Torah is the most beautiful life format in the world. Why? Because Hashem says, I created you. And why? Where does this stem from? Why does people? Because many people were fooled. How were they fooled? They thought that Adam HaRishon did not know Torah. Adam HaRishon knew the whole Torah Kula. Enosh, Shet, every person from Adam HaRishon till Adam Abraham Avinu knew Torah, Torah Kula, even probably more than Abraham Avinu. Even probably more than Abraham Avinu. You hear what I said? Every person knew Torah. There is no such a thing as not knowing Torah. Hashem, it's a shod, it's shame to say, it's a shame thing to say that we didn't have knowledge of the Torah. Why? Why would Hashem place us here? Why would Hashem place us here if we didn't have the Torah? Now, after the Mabul, Hashem took away the knowledge. What happened? The time of Adam Rishon until Noach, everybody who was born, right on the spot as he was born, he was not hid here. He would not be hid here by an angel, and he would be born with all the knowledge of the Torah. Before, by the time of Noach. Everybody knew Torah, instantly. And children, as they were born, they already were able to walk, and they already knew how to use Hashem's name. And Hashem is doing us actually a favor when He takes it away from us. Because when we were in the mommy's stomach, we know the whole Torah we learned. We know all the Hashem's names. We know how to create foam cups just by words. We could say a word and we create a city. With the knowledge that we know before we were born, that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes a baby doesn't talk. Why? Because He doesn't want him to cause them harm in this world. That was a problem of the generation of Noach. Before Noach, they caused harm with all the knowledge that they had. So now HaKadosh Baruch Hu has mercy on us. He gives us time to be. He teaches us all the Torah because it's not allowed. You can't put people into the world that they don't know what they're doing. It's not possible. It's not allowed. It's not humane. And Hashem is the most merciful and most humane of anything. Hashem loves us. Why would He place us in this world not knowing anything? So every individual, already inside our brain, we're programmed. We programmed that we know the whole Torah Kula. We know everything. The only thing that happens to us is we are blocked, and we are blocked from it. And also, same thing, Gerim, when the Ger takes into the Girut, right away, the Neshama, the new Neshama that he has, everything is here. As Einstein, I think, said, 2% we use of our brains. Einstein used 4%. So how much information is in this brain? How much? Everything is there, by the way. We're all born. We all know Hashem's name. We all know the truth. We all know the reality. And every human being, not just Jews, everybody. Because you can't demand from humans to be humans if you don't program them. Now, what happens? At birth, we forgot. And now we are given a chance to choose the path. Now we're given a choice. Go choose the path. Whichever route you take will teach you. You go to the yeshiva, you learn more, and you learn more and more, and then you get clarity, more clarity. Every time you learn by the Ber Hashem and Moshe more, or Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim et haaretz, every time you learn, it's a different concept. Why? Because the more you say, the longer you say, the more time you repeat it, the more and more time you repeat. People understand repetition. You get, first of all, the reward many more times than the first time you learn. Repetition, because repetition is harder. And always in the back of a person, I already did it. No. The point is for you to bring it out. Constantly repeat. And now you are actually reminding your mind what it did in the time of the baby, when you were a baby. It was a baby. Many times people say, I don't know, sometimes I have this. Sounds like I already learned something before. I never touched a book in my life. But you open it and you read it. What's this? It's like in the back of your mind, you know about it. It's that little bit of reverence that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you sometimes that you did it already. Now just go do more and more and more, and everything will be B'ezrat Hashem revealed to you. Now this mitzvah, נוהג איסור זה בזכרים ונקבות בזמן שחיוב מעשר שני נוהג. The prohibition of eating the 10th of Maaser Sheni outside of Yerushalayim is obviously only at the time when there was such a concept. Today, we don't have this concept. בסדר שופטים מעשר ואב בסימן תבואר בגזירת השם מהזמן והמקומות שנוהג שם. So it depends which places they lived also. ועובר הזה ואכל כזית ממנו חוץ לירושלים חייב מלכות. In olden times, the Jew had this masrot. He had grown the wheat, and now he didn't eat it in Yerushalayim. As Shalom, he will get lashed. Repeat the mitzvot as many times as you can. Have a wonderful Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.